Hey, so welcome to another podcast episode of the Soulful Side of Life with me, Ali Portee. I hope you're well and having a good week. I also hope that you had a nice Christmas with your loved ones. And this is my 99th podcast episode, and I got to do it none other with Hunter Clowdus. He is an American actor turned U.S. military soldier serving with the United States Army. And he's bubbly, and he's got this joy and happiness always. Just a reminder for Christians that we may not always be happy, but we can always have joy, and he always seems to exude joy. And it was a joy to talk with Hunter. He gave me slightly over an hour of his time to talk about leadership, talk about faith. And I was interested in him going into the U.S. Army. Like, he wasn't talking about the Army over a year ago. He was keeping up with his vlog and his YouTube channel and his Twitch accounts and his Instagram, and then boom, he enlists in the U.S. Army. And I was like, I want to know why. And it definitely is a calling for him. Acting is something that's still in his heart. And if you don't know anything about Hunter, he's from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he was in college and decided to go be an actor. And he started pursuing that from a very young age, and he was successful. He was in the movie 42 with Chadwick Boseman. He starred in some episodes of Teen Wolf, and then he was a series regular on the CW's All-American. And he's also a motivational speaker. And then he decided to challenge himself and take his leadership to new heights by humbling himself to do what the military asks you to do, which is to lead is to serve, and you have to humble yourself to do that. And so anyways, Hunter gets into all of this. So without further ado, enjoy this podcast episode with Hunter Clowdus. I hope that you take away something that inspires your life and that encourages you to go after your dreams. Thank you for joining my podcast, Hunter. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ali. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here.
You know, this will be my 99th episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I went through a difficult time this summer, and one way that I came out of it is that I just started doing podcasts again and interviewing people and inspiring people that inspire me. And so I really value this podcast that God has given me, and it's amazing the people that God makes and the gifts and callings and talents that he puts on the inside of people. You're one such inspiring person. So jumping on in, what was little boy Hunter like?
Oh, goodness. I tell you what, Ali, not too different than Old Man Hunter.
I can
Uh,
imagine.
I swear I still feel I have that boyish energy and zest and curiosity. And don't put any big red buttons around me and tell me not to push it, because I have to. I'm gonna have to push the button that you tell me not to. I think Little Boy Hunter was adventurous. He was curious. I have the best, and we all say this, a lot of us say this. I have the best mom and dad in the world. They are my heroes. They're my role models. And I feel very fortunate and blessed to have had them lead the way and lead from the front. And you might hear me say that a few more times, because that's the kind of leader I try to be. But they led from the front. They led by example, and they allowed me the opportunity and the freedom, while still being constructive So it really set the stage for me to be explorative and adventurous and curious and try new things. And no matter what direction I went into, they were supportive of that. So I think again, Little Boy Hunter was courageous and brave. And I look back at some of the things I did, and I'm like, I would never do that now. And maybe that's maturing, maybe that's getting a bit older and wiser. But he never approached anything and thought he couldn't do it. And I think there's a lot to that. I think that is such a powerful trait. Let's call it a seed, if you will. And hopefully your parents or someone in a leadership role in your life can see that in someone younger or someone that is a mentor mentee and nurture that, because it needs to be nurtured. There needs to be some sort of positive affirmation that goes along with that. For example, you
Mhm.
do something and then you look and did I get a thumbs up or a thumbs down? And not in an approval or disapproval way, but in you were seen. Your actions did elicit some sort of response. Therefore, those actions were big enough to elicit said response. Because uh, it reiterates the fact that we need to do things that are big, that are bold, that aren't just that don't just go unnoticed. I think we're all
Mhm.
called to shoot for the stars, and I did as a young boy, as a young man, and I learned a lot, and I went through a lot of failure. The majority of things that I've tried haven't worked, and but
But
a
at
hand
least you tried.
yes, and I I understood that I was a student. I was a student of the game, and I didn't care so much about the proverbial wins and losses. It was in the process. I'm getting better because I'm growing, regardless of the outcome. I'm growing because I'm learning from. I'm learning from, and again, that excitement to learn from life was certainly in me as a child, and I think it continues clearly to live in me today. I'm so curious. I just don't think there is anything that is outside the realm of possible for us if we're willing to work hard, to be dedicated and disciplined, and to be humble enough to learn from others, to have those conversations, to build those people skills, to network. Because as we were talking about earlier, um, people are so magical in a sense.
Mhm.
Everyone possesses something because they've walked in shoes that we haven't, and it's so valuable and it's so rewarding to share not only your story but to hear from others. And when you can view life not as individually competitive, but competitive as a community and as a team sport. And I want us all to win because there's enough room for us all to win. And we're all on this journey together. It becomes so beautiful. It becomes so much bigger than yourself. And I think when you are feeling down or when you are going through a season of losses, it does provide you a bit more stability to be able to learn from others, to communicate with others, and to again make life more of a team sport. And I think I did that as a young age. I played a lot of team sports growing up, and I think I allowed that to make me be a big fan of teamwork. And
Mhm.
I've carried that on through my career, be it acting, be it mentoring, coaching, or now as I'm in the U.S. Army as an infantryman. Um, we we move, we think, we operate as a team, and there I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mhm. The thing what you were saying about, um, look, it's like you don't look at other people with competition because we've all got our unique gifts and talents. there's a lot of people I feel like they don't have that mindset like you do. I think a lot of people can have a jealous, competitive mindset, especially when they see somebody accomplishing something and maybe they wish in deep down that they had that kind of mindset as well. Like, how do you deal with the haters, with jealous people who are trying to compete with you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one I am still seeking an ultimate resolve to. And by the way, I don't think we ever find it. I think we're always having to have these conversations with ourselves, these therapy sessions, if you will, to work on our weaknesses. And sometimes we have more specific weaknesses due to trauma or things that we have gone through personally. But I think just holistically, as the human race, we have innate weaknesses. And I think jealousy is one of those. I think comparison is one of those. I think competitive by nature is one of those. And look, all of these things we could title them as good or title them as bad, or we could be indifferent on paper, but use these things to better ourselves. And that's what I try to do. I try and be super neutral. And if I'm working with a negative, then I will try and reframe it or rephrase it for
Mm,
myself so that I can better understand it and then come at it with empathy. So if perhaps I find myself in a jealous season, I understand that God gave me a different path, right? And He gave me different trials and tribulations to go through. If He wanted me to do exactly that, then well, it's already being done. So why is there necessarily a need for me? So through that, I realized, okay, wait, I am very special. My path matters, my story matters, and I need to be where my feet are, trusting that my uniqueness is the beauty. So
mm,
instead of trying to compare other people's trophies to mine, I choose to get the gratifying effect from the work, because you can always control the work. You can always control what you do. You can't necessarily control how it's received or perceived, but you know who you are. So it's seeking affirmations through your actions, not your recognition, if you will. And I
mm,
think that's helped me a lot because I could post on Instagram and get half the likes of someone else. Cool. And I could allow that to make me compare and be jealous and why did theirs perform better? Or I could just focus on the creating. I could just focus on the story that I told. I could try and shoot a different angle next time. I could get out of the metrics and just get back to the work of creating, which should be the root of why we get into said thing anyway. So
mm,
it's almost being detached from uh said result and being more into the process, trusting that you are becoming who you're meant to be through the work. So a bit of a tangent there, but reeling it back to how do I deal with the haters specifically. I try and be empathetic. I try and understand we're all human. We're all living this life for the first time.
mm,
And while there's people that have gone before us, this is still our own unique journey. And you don't know what you don't know.
mm,
So perhaps someone hasn't been taught how to deal with said stimulus. In this case, it could be someone else's success. So they are jealous. But they might not really be jealous. They might have just not been taught that, hey, there's room for everyone. Instead of being
mhm.
jealous, be motivated. Or
Yeah,
instead of comparing to begin with, why don't we just focus on the task at hand because that's what you're actually in control of.
yeah,
So I come at that from a very empathetic position of they probably don't mean what they are promoting.
mm,
They just have emotion, which is good, and it they don't know, they haven't refined it yet.
mm,
So, forgiving, but
mhm,
again, I try not to even allow myself to get too high or too low. I focus on the work because that's what I've found to be the most fair and the most rewarding is
yeah,
just the hard work, the dedication, the discipline, and falling in love with that, and letting that process be the prize, the trophy, the result, detached from any external um,
Validate.
appreciation for it.
Yeah. When I talked to you last time, you were talking about how the parable of the talents is one of your favorite stories in the Bible, and it struck me because, Jesus called the one who buried the talent wicked and evil, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's such a very strong way, to call somebody who doesn't multiply what God has put in their hands." Why is that parable particularly important to you? How do you try to multiply what God has given you?
Yeah. Oh, I love your style. I love everything that you do. It's just you see me light up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you and the work that you do before you even hit record on these things. Yes, I do recall that. Still my favorite parable, and I think that's why you've seen me seemingly um, completely jump ship from one career that was on an upwards trajectory by all accounts and do something that to many would seem super extreme in a completely different
Mhm.
category. And I think that deep down is me knowing that there is more inside, and I need to push and pull and fight to get it out, and I needed a different stimulus in order to do that. And I didn't want to just be an actor.
Mhm.
I felt I was called for more, and if you follow me, you would see me. I got into golf really heavy for about a year. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I swore I was going to be the next Tiger Woods.
I played
And
golf
then
in high school. I was on my golf team.
yeah, it's an incredible game that I still love. But then after that, you saw me become a cowboy. I mean, like
Yeah.
literally horseback riding, cattle drives, roping. I became friends with the number one cowboy in the country, and I was all in on that. And and then this next chapter was a bit more extreme, just due
Mhm.
to the contractual essence of it, joining the army. But it all stems from how can I push myself in different ways, learn new skills, and become the best human being that I possibly can, exhausting all of the talents that God has blessed me with and given me, and it's through that curiosity of is there more in me that I have gone down this path currently, and to be honest, Ali, who knows what's next for me? I have no
Mm.
idea. I just know I'm gonna give it all I got. I'm going to prepare, I'm going to study, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to use it to ultimately reflect back to my fellow brothers and sisters, if you will. Hey, anything is possible. You're never too old for anything. You need to be humble, because if you have an ego and you try and switch careers or do something crazy, it's going to humble you quick, because you realize if you get super proficient in one industry or in one area, in one career, you might it's hard to go from a high level of something to like kindergarten again. It's hard to go from like a master's degree to like, oh, you're back in kindergarten. And that's what
Mhm.
it can feel like when you switch careers, when you do anything in life that is new. It might be a new place that you move. It might be a new relationship. And it can be like demotivating. And it can be like, this is too much. Like, I was here and now I'm here. And we can't view it like that. We have to view it as I was here and now I'm here, because I'm exposing myself to something new. And as you get
Mhm.
older, you know the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Um, and that's sad if we adopt that mentality, because our age, I think, too early, because we have this pressure to have it all figured out, to say specifically and explicitly what we do, and we plant that flag, and I just think it sells ourselves short. I think there's so much that we can do, while we can wear multiple hats, and we could hold multiple titles. at the highest level, at a professional capacity. And I saw that opportunity for me, and I wanted to exploit it. I wanted to go all in, and I wanted to, again, not just say I was a fill in the blank, but I wanted to say I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and all of that taught me, all of that led me to understanding that I am ... Because that's the real question. That's what pushes me more than anything. I want to know who I am
Mm.
and why I'm here and what I'm capable of. And
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful, beautiful journey that starts from the day you're born and doesn't end until the day you're no longer here. And if we can wake up understanding that we have a purpose,
Mm.
then we will never lack passion. We will never lack motivation or inspiration, because there's a reason. There's a reason. And I think settling is there's seasons for settling, sure, but I think if we do it for too long, I just don't think that we should have years and years of our life that really get mushed together because they all look and feel the same. I think we were blessed with another day to grow.
Mm.
And if you're doing something that you're passionate about, or that's new, or that's challenging, then you're gonna grow and you're gonna learn. And lastly, just on this, I always say, we can only give as much as we are, therefore we must become. So it doesn't matter how much I love something. If this is my capacity as a human, this is all I can give you. It doesn't matter how much I want to give you more. This is all I have. So it's my job over the course of my life to become more selflessly, so that I can give more.
Yeah.
And again, that's through expanding our love, expanding our education, expanding our skill set. I think those are things that we're in control of, that it matters so much to give to those around us, to give to those we love, and ultimately tying it back into the parable, to bring back to God and say, thank you for that wild ride. Here's what I did with everything that you blessed me with. I hope, humbly, that you accept me, So
Yeah.
yeah.
I do wanna know what inspired you to go into the Army, but you said something interesting. In the US, I feel that we have this pressure on us in high school or even before to know what we wanna major in if we're going to college, know what we wanna do. And I think it's too much pressure on a young person because a lot of times what you major in university is not what you end up working in when you get your first job. And we have to leave room for God to reveal why he put us on this earth. And not all of us are going to know that at 16. And yeah, we just have to leave room for the Lord. Like I studied history in Washington, D.C., and got my master's in international relations. But yeah, I sit at Paris Fashion Week and cover the latest collections or go to Cannes Film Festival. And I didn't study this,
Yeah.
but I know that God has put me in the celebrity world, kind of. And we have to leave room for God to reveal to us. Because, yeah.
100%. And I tell you what, life is not going to permit you that room. You
Yeah.
have to be cognizant enough and aware enough to ensure that you are creating that space. Uh, I'm sure you've heard, like, no one is coming to save you, that saying, and I think
Do you agree with that saying?
oh goodness. Oh goodness.
I do and I don't. I mean, I think God will always come and save us, and he'll use people to do that.
I mean, I'd have to agree. I
Yeah.
would have to agree. I think that it could be tied to, like, everyone knows something that you don't. I think you have to be, again, insanely self-aware, which, by the way, self-awareness, in my opinion, is a skill, which is good news for us because a skill can be developed. A skill can you can work on it and get better at it. And I think the more self-aware we become, the more we can understand seasons and flow, and understand, oh, I might be too too focused on this one thing, whereas God potentially is showing me everything that I want right here. But if my head is here, Allie, I can't see it. So
Mm,
it goes back to making sure that there is that space so that you aren't just so in something that you lose your self-awareness. And so yeah, I think was using "No One Is Coming to Save You" as an example of it's imperative that we don't rely on someone to say, "Hey, this is the golden ticket." We have to keep that head on a swivel, 360 at all time, um, because some of the most beautiful things don't wave and scream and say, "Hey, I'm your next move." We
mhm.
have to like we're still playing the game. We still make these decisions that are so pivotal for our lives. And if we don't have our head up, we can miss a lot of things.
Yeah,
Like the Ferris Bueller line.
yeah,
Life moves pretty quick, and if you don't look around, you might miss it. I
yeah,
think everything that we have ever dreamed is absolutely capable of becoming reality if we can be bold and courageous and trust that we are enough. And even if we aren't enough, we can become enough in the process. So again, all these things that we're talking about are take practice,
mm,
and yeah, take a forgiving spirit.
mm,
You can't beat yourself up over something you did in the past or
yeah,
something you're doing now. All you can do is make a change and try something different if perhaps what you're doing isn't working out. But we have
yeah,
to be forgiving with ourselves. We have to be very self-aware, and we have to understand that um, everything that we've ever wanted is truly ours to have an experience, but we can't be married to what it needs to look like.
mm, for sure. Okay, so yeah, as you were saying before, you were golfing, you were cowboying, riding on horses, and then all of a sudden Hunter Clowdus is enlisting in the army. Wow. I mean, and the army is a very serious decision, or any military branch, as you said, because of the contractual elements of it. I remember when I was in college in DC, I come from a military family, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to ROTC. I'm going to do this. And the college I went to had Army ROTC, and I was out there, PT, this is
No
what I'm gonna
way!
do. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm like killing myself in the gym, like,
Yeah.
and then I realized it's not what I want to do. It was my dad's dream for me to do that. So, how do you go from, you're a college student and then you went into acting, you had this show, and then all of a sudden you're in the US Army. How does that happen? Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I haven't even wrapped my own mind around it. Look, I've never thought anything was too big or too drastic or too extreme, and this decision, I felt the same. I felt that it was something that was going to expand my skill set. I felt it was one of the most honorable things someone can do is serve their country, and I was eager to have something that challenged me and that. Uh, I don't want to say re-humbled me because you've known me for a while, and I really try and like be humble. So that could be misinterpreted as like, oh, he was like high and mighty. I really wasn't that, but I
It
just
breaks you
long.
down, I think, the army, right? Like, it
Yeah.
can no matter how much knowledge you have, you're broken down through your training to be built back up through the
Yes.
army mindset or the military mindset.
Yes, and I tell you what, so I love coaching and mentoring, and I love speaking, public speaking, sharing my story, hearing other people's stories. So I I I think I'm a good leader, and I wanted to be a great leader, or I think I'm a great leader, and I want to be an exceptional, undeniable leader.
Mhm.
So I was thinking to myself, uh, where can I go to learn from the best in the world how to lead under the highest of stakes?
Mm.
And I resolved on being an infantryman in the United States Army because there are no higher stakes than life or death. And we have to make decisions while getting shot at.
Mm.
Bare
Mm.
bones.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're in peacetime now, and warfare and things of that nature are a bit
True.
different. But uh,
Mm.
prior to when I was a civilian, this is what kind of led me to my decision. I was like, the stakes can't get higher, the stress can't get higher, and you still have to make decisions to bring your team home or to accomplish said mission. I said, "Oh, this is a no-brainer. Where do I sign up?" So it really originated as I wanted to be the best leader in the world, or the best leader that I could be. Where can I go to get that training, that schooling, that education? Where can I go to become that? And I didn't view it as like this is a huge, commitment. My contract. How many years is it? This takes me away from acting. This does all this. I didn't listen to all of those voices in my head. I just said, here's what I want to do, which again, I want to become a great leader.
Mm.
Under any situation, I can lead and people can trust me.
Mm.
Where do I go to do that? And where I know the stakes are going to be the highest, that's what I landed on, and the rest is history. I signed up to be an infantryman, and it has changed my life. My goodness, it has changed my
How
life.
so?
Oh my gosh. um it has pushed me in ways that I would have never ever been pushed.
Mm.
It has completely changed my gratitude towards the simple things in life. I mean the simplest of things. Now, one of our last FTXs, which is a field training exercise in OSIT, which stands for One Station Unit Training. By the way, the Army and military as a whole, it is its own language, which is probably good because no one can really understand it. But there are so many acronyms. I can say like 5 acronyms, and I'm saying like 100 words. It's pretty incredible.
Wow.
The Army's language, but I was doing an FTX in OSIT, and we just set up a patrol base, and we're pulling security, and I did OSIT. OSIT is done at Fort Benning in Georgia, and it's got to be the greatest training place in the world because the weather is horrible.
Mm.
I mean, it will be 100 degrees, and then it will thunderstorm on you, and then it'll be 100 degrees again. I mean, it's just
It's the
so
South.
unpredictable. Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
South
yeah.
summers.
I mean, deep south. I mean, it is
Yeah.
something else. So we set up our patrol base. We dug something called a ranger grave, which is we'll say 6 to 9, 9 to 12 inches deep. Not a full foxhole, but enough where if a grenade went off or shrapnel was flying, you would kind of be underground enough. And that's where we were sleeping. And I didn't have time to set up a proper in anything, quite frankly. And so I basically had like my rain jacket that I was just like holding, and it would sag in the middle. So it was like this waterproof material like choking me
Mm.
as I was trying to inhale. It just wasn't working, and I was laying in it. It had become mud at this point, and there were spiders crawling all over me, and it was like, let's say 0300, 3:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted.
I know military time.
Yeah, and I I said 0300. I would get corrective training for that. It would be 0300,
Oh,
because O is not a number.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. But yeah, and I just quietly, of course, but I just started laughing to myself
Yeah.
because I was thinking this like how can this get any worse? I mean, this is so miserable. And it's moments like that that is why I signed up.
Mm.
It's to take myself to those extremes so I can better learn myself as a human being when I'm faced with literally as much adversity as possible in this instance, how am I going to react? Am I going to want to cry and quit, or am I gonna say, "Thank you, God. This is awesome. This sucks. Don't get me wrong. This sucks, and I want to get out of here. But thank you, God, for letting me experience this." And that has always been my response to hard things, to tough things, to things that quite frankly suck.
Mm,
I always go back to thank you, God, for letting me experience this. There's something here that you are allowing me to feel this, and I need to humble myself, get out of my emotions of trying to make sense of something and just appreciate what is taking place. And I've found so much beauty in sacrificing and suffering, Allie, I can't even begin to tell you. Because a
mm,
lot of the training is just that. It is sacrificing sleep, it is sacrificing food, it is sacrificing comfort, and you're suffering. I mean, you are suffering. And through that, I have learned that I am so resilient and so tenacious, and I can withstand really, really miserable circumstances and situations and still think clearly, still make the best decision for the team, still get us out of a situation.
Did you
And
have moments of wanting to give up during your training?
oh
Though
my
I don't
goodness.
think you could, right? You signed your name, so you couldn't walk away, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were guys that quit. There were guys that quit.
So you can
And
quit in the middle of, basic training?
there is a process. It is
Oh,
quite a lengthy one. I mean, it's not just, "Hey, I wanna go home," and you're on the next bus out. There are quite a few steps that you have to take, but there are ways to say, like, "Hey, this is clearly not for me," and there are ways to get out. Um, of course, I thought of those ways, and they sounded so nice. I remember calling home. You get one phone call a week in OSIT specifically, and we got ours every Sunday for about 45 minutes to an hour. And it's not much time. If you were to grab your phone right now and look at the screen time, it's probably somewhere between 5 and 10 hours.
mm,
And so when you get one, and that's a day. So to get 1 hour a week, when you've got a couple of loved ones, it goes by really quick. But I remember calling very early on, maybe my second, third week, and I just started crying.
mm,
I just started crying because I felt that I wasn't able to be there for my family. And it's not that they needed me. It's just I felt because I was so isolated that I was doing a disservice to them. And I wasn't able to just call them when I wanted and say, "Hey, I love you. How's your day going?" And it's through those moments that you are so broken down
mm,
that you can rebuild from. And
mm,
and and look, if you never break yourself down, you can't really go through that transformation that I think we're called to. Now, by the way, you don't have to like put yourself in these suffering moments. Life is going to be hard because you're human, and if it was hard for Jesus, it's going to be hard for us. We're made in His image, and we're called to.
mm,
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. So when you're going through a really hard, stressful time and nothing makes sense, or you're going through something miserable, like yes, 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 yes. Like you have to absorb that and understand like that is where you get your story from. That is where you get your self-confidence from. That is where you get you from. It's not in hoisting the championship trophy. It's in all the grueling practices that you had to do and all the games you had to play and fight in order to ultimately, sure, you get to hold the trophy, but that's not what made you. It was the whole process where you thought about quitting a million times, where you didn't want to keep going. That's the good stuff. And that's why I joined, because I wanted to fully commit to 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 learning myself, and I knew that this environment really created some of the brightest and toughest leaders in the world, and I wanted to go through that. And did I think about quitting? Goodness gracious, a million times.
mm.
And you let yourself think about that. but not for
Yeah.
too long, because you don't
Yeah.
want that to be your identity. But you allow yourself, you say, man, this sucks. And I would love to quit, but that's not an option for me right now. So what's the next task? And then you get
Sure.
back to the task. So you go from, the emotional, I'm going to be emotional about it. And then you say, no, I need to execute on it. So
Yeah.
there's this emotional execution balance that you want to play, because you can't just be like, oh, nothing affects me. It does. And it's actually more freeing to feel like, oh, this is heavy. Cool. What's my next move? Opposed to just something weighing you down and you say, oh no, this isn't heavy at all. You're not smarter than you. It's heavy, acknowledge it, and then you can move on. And dare I say, that's a form of therapy, acknowledging what is so that you can move on. But yeah, that's just one example of countless that I had through my training that adds value to who I am today.
That's amazing. I think the military puts out some really great leaders. Like when I lived in Lebanon, there was a guy who went to the Air Force Academy, and when in 2020 when Beirut had that explosion, and he was out there with the church, like just leading and providing solutions to help the people of Lebanon. I've got a friend in Saudi, and he went to West Point, and he's got these great leadership skills, and there's nothing like the military to just give a kind of leadership that you can't get anywhere else. So, yeah, it's amazing that you took that step. Now, while you had that desire to go in the military, how did you know God called you to it? Because like I was saying, when I was in college, I was thinking, yes, I'm going to force myself. I'm going to do this ROTC thing and then go into the military. But it wasn't God's calling for my life. How did you know God called you to do this?
Yeah, I think ultimately I I felt I was called to do it because it was the hardest thing I could get into. It was like I thought, what is the hardest thing that I could possibly do from this position in my life?
Mm,
And that's where it landed. And that's what I was seeking. I was seeking, what is the complete, not necessarily complete opposite, but what takes power and control away from me? Because every other profession or career that is challenging, I thought, like, I'm still in control. So you're telling me that there's a career where, at least initially, I am not in control.
mm.
And how scary is that? As a
Yeah.
leader who loves to have his hands in things, and dare I say, things tend to go well when I am heavily involved, can I have my hands out of something and just take direction? Can I be so humble as a leader that I can take direction, and in said exercise or said scenario, maybe I think I know a better way, but can I be humble enough to know my role, to not say anything, and to trust that maybe his or her way works as well? So I have to trust them, even though it might not be the way that I would do it.
Mm,
Can I take a deep breath and refrain? So it just it I set up these scenarios in my head, and I was like, oh, this is going to push. There's nothing else on planet Earth that is going to push me in this way, exploiting my weaknesses, but also showcasing my strengths. The Army, and being an infantryman especially, we ruck and we maneuver and we fire and we fight. I mean, we are the fighting force. We are the boots on the ground. Like, that is our job. So I knew it was going to showcase the fitness that I have maintained throughout my career, and fact check if it was just for camera, just for show, or if it had a little go with it. It was going to check that and test that. And was my body really a temple? And could it really perform?
mm,
And so it just had all the ingredients for it for to be a testing ground. And furthermore, it wasn't just an exercise. It wasn't just uh, a preview. This was a full feature. This was a trilogy. I
True.
mean, because it's a contract. It's not just like a little, 8-week intensive course to like see if I had what it took. No, it is going to see if I have what it takes.
Mm.
Like I am active duty, and I wanted that commitment. I wanted to go all in. I looked at my life and I looked at my timeline and I said, you know what? I do have the time right now. I do have the years. I do have the youth. I do
Mm.
have the drive and the desire to 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 go all in on this, and I can afford to do that. And I think it's a wise investment of my life because of everything that I just mentioned. So once I did that, I said, "Oh, it's very clear. Like this is something that God would be proud of if I can go and execute it because there's so many noble attributes to it, and it truly is going to push all the talents that I've been working on to build. It's going to test them in new ways, and if I can make it out on the other side, those talents undoubtedly will have multiplied."
For sure. Did you do your training at Fort Jackson, your basic training?
I didn't.
Oh, wow.
So infantry, we will go through OSIT. So there's not a basic and an AIT, which is advanced individual training. I'm sure you know this, but for those listening, again, another acronym. But we just have OSIT. So we don't have separate. We don't have a basic and then go somewhere else for our AIT. We just go to one place. And get
Mm.
this, I was lucky enough for, and I say lucky and smile, for our OSIT to be 22 weeks. Now, they were piloting other durations, and some were as short as like 16, 17, 18 weeks. And
Wow.
you wouldn't think 18 weeks versus 22 weeks is a big difference. Ali, let me tell you, it is a huge difference when you're just suffering every day. A month is a lot of time, and we were one of the last 22-week uh, OSITs, if you will. I think the class after us was shifting to an 18-week. Again, they were piloting it, which means they were trying it out, trying to figure out what's the most efficient, what's the best bang for their buck. Because at the end of the day, training and training exercises are very expensive. We spend a lot of money training our soldiers to be the best in the world. I mean, we are the best in the world at what we do, and
Yeah.
that's a nod to our training and what we invest in that. So, but yeah, we were piloting different durations, but of course, ours was like the longest. And but in retrospect, I wouldn't change a thing. And it really has given me a better perspective on life, and moreover, a greater, and I mean a greater relationship with suffering.
Mm.
I discomfort is my friend.
Wow.
I can hang in there. I can hang in there, and I can find the good in situations that could be 99% bad. Like if there's a needle in the haystack and the needle is the only good, like I have developed a skill set to be able to find it and appreciate it. And
Wow.
I knew the army was going to give me the schooling, the teaching, the ability to test myself to be able to do that. And so yeah, I'm just so happy with where I'm at. Even though I'm still very early on in my career, I tell you what, through my work ethic and I have had some incredible
Mm.
opportunities uh already.
Wow.
And I recently, and I just talked to my CO, which is my commanding officer, and my XO, which is my executive officer, and my PSG, which is my platoon sergeant, and my first sergeant, about OPSEC, which is operational security. So they were telling me, make sure you don't disclose. And then we have a list of things that I can't, but I can say that recently, I guess technically it wasn't a promotion, if you will, but I told my leadership that I was very interested in a new unit, and it's a special unit. and it is a SUAS unit, so small unmanned aerial systems unit, um, drones, if you will. And I showed interest in it, and then they had a vetting process, and they selected me. And it's a very small unit, and it's such an honor to be doing these missions, to be using this technology that is truly at the forefront of how we are going to conduct battle, of how we
Mhm.
are going to, and hopefully we don't have to win a war, but this is how we would do it. I mean, it's just, and Ali, I like, they have me in this very small unit doing these things, and
Wow.
I just feel like it makes you want to show up and bust your butt, because it's a privilege to be in this unit, and you don't just, I mean, it's with guys who really care about this country, who care about technology, who want to be the best. We push each other hard every day. We're all like the top of the top. Like we're the highest performers. We have the best PT scores. We scored highest on all of the, the ASVAB, these tests.
Right.
So I'm with highly motivated, highly skilled, highly trained people, and we're doing these missions, if you will, these training exercises that are, it just, it's such an honor to
Yeah.
be where I am now, and that's something that I think the Army has really, is really good about. If you work hard, and leadership sees that, the chain of command sees that, they will open doors for you, and they will put you in positions to shine.
Mm.
And Hollywood is so different than that, in a sense that there's just so many things that come with Hollywood acting specifically, that are different than the military, and it's so refreshing to get rewarded for showing up early and staying late, whereas potentially in a role you might do that, but
You don't
it
get, yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
might, the world might never really see it or know it. I mean, it's just very different. But I've been extremely happy with how the military has rewarded my work ethic and appreciated it, and given me more responsibility and opportunity because of it,
Do
because
you
they
think
see that.
it's do you think it's because in Hollywood is the competition is just so high and there's so many people trying to get those A-list roles? Or is it about who you know? If you know the right person
Okay,
versus
there's a lot of politics with everything.
sure.
Right? I mean, even in high school, from being popular and stuff.
Yeah.
You would hope that we outgrow that. Uh,
Mm,
Sadly, I think, more times than not, we don't.
mm,
So everything is so very, very political. I wouldn't say that, it's necessarily, competitive in regards to talent alone. I think it might be competitive in who you know, those relationships. Um, I say what you're willing to do, but I
mm,
that has a certain connotation to it. So
mm.
I'm not hinting at that. I'm just saying, um, how you're willing to think, how you're willing to behave. I think there's just a lot to that,
I understand.
to the point where after 12 years, I said, I don't necessarily want to spend any more time at the moment trying to solve this riddle.
Mm,
I think I understand it enough to
Mm,
know that perhaps my talents could be multiplied at a higher rate
mm,
somewhere else right now. So I
yeah.
wanted to push myself personally, but also be in a space where I was appreciated and rewarded for the extra work and the hard work. And I was allowed to maybe be myself a bit more, maybe speak my mind a
Mm,
bit more, maybe stand in my faith a bit more.
mm.
Um, so yeah, yeah,
I
I
totally get what you're
mhm.
saying. And I feel the entertainment world, fashion, it doesn't give back. Like you could spend 20, 30 years doing something like being an editor for, a Vogue or what have you, and you may not be rewarded or get to move up to another role. It's just whereas I think in the military, like you were saying, you do get rewarded. It's not that there's not challenges for women or people of color, but I think the military is far more progressive in the sense where it doesn't hold on to things if the leadership is there because everybody's got to move forward for a mission. And yeah, I drove to Charlotte today to meet a friend of mine. He had a 10-hour layover and he's been in fashion for so long and he's like, I've got to do a career just kind of rethinking because, he and I are around the same age and he's like, it doesn't give back. Fashion doesn't give back. I'm like, the Air Force allows you to enlist up until I think like 41, 42. So that could be fallbacks for
Yeah.
us because it doesn't give back. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's been something that has just been so refreshing. Because again, 12 years, just focus on acting, and it was some of the most rewarding, efforts ever because of, uh, professionally what it progressed into and allowed me to do, but I still felt as if I hadn't yet, um, really been able to lead, and that's
mm,
something that I just it's just it's in
innate
who
in
I
you.
am,
Yeah, it's innate.
and but I mean, full disclosure, I'm still extremely optimistic about the future. I right now I'm where my feet are, and I'm all in on being the best soldier I can be, being the best service member I can be, and learning everything that I need to so that I can pass that on when my time comes. But I still have a love for storytelling. I still have a love for creating a character that is compelling and can connect and move someone's emotions, whether it be laughing or crying or making them think about their existence and why they're there. I still have an immense love and respect for the art of acting, and I
Mm,
think it's integral into the progression of our society. I mean,
mm,
storytelling is as old as it gets, and
mm,
I still feel as an actor and an artist, I have a responsibility to do that, and I think I have the talent to do that at a high level, and I long to do it at a high level again.
yeah.
So
Okay, that was a one of the lasting questions I have. You think you will act at some point
100%.
again?
Hun
Okay,
100%. I think I have to.
okay,
I think I have to.
good.
I think I have unfinished business
Mm,
and, yeah, I have unfinished business and, granted, had my character come to a proper close for the fans, maybe I still probably
you
would
would
have
have
wanted to
finished it
do.
out?
I don't know. It's so hard to say, but I definitely think that the way it was done, it just didn't add up. It wasn't fair to the fans. It was very odd to me. I didn't really understand um, it, and that said, though, I still long to storytell. Now, it doesn't necessarily. I'm my ego is detached from it, so it doesn't need to be a number one show on Netflix. It doesn't have to be a blockbuster movie. I
Mhm.
just want the ability to work, um, off of another artist and do a scene, do something that matters. And I love it so much. I love
Mhm.
preparing for it. I love finding nuances that you might not catch the first time, but if you watch it the second time, it'll give you a different experience. I love that. And fortunately for me, you can do it at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Like you don't age out of that. Whereas in the military, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
you could go the officer route, or you can be in the military and be older, but you're not going to want to be infantry and rucking with 90 pounds on your back at 60. That's not going to work. So I knew
Yeah.
I had a small window of opportunity to go do this tough guy stuff, and I needed to do it. I needed it for me so bad, just to prove that I was who I thought I was and that I was capable of so much more. But yeah, acting 100% is something that I still care about the art of.
Mhm.
And again, fortunately, I can always have my hat in that ring. I know a lot of wonderful people in that space, still have great relationships with them. And it's one of those things where you can do at any age. There is a role for you. There is a story for you to tell. And if you're passionate about something, y- you can do it if you're passionate about something. I think that's the key. So I think my motives behind why I would want to act again are pure and genuine, and are for the betterment of humanity, if you will. That's a deep way to
Mhm.
put it, but it's not because I need to prove anything. It's not because I want more celebrityism or more fame. That doesn't matter. I love storytelling. I love connecting with human beings, and I love making them think.
It
Um,
would be interesting to see how your acting has evolved by going in the military. Like, Adam Driver is a really great actor, and he was in the Marines, I think it was, and there's maybe some more actors out there who served. It might enhance your acting in some way.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Again, and that goes back to we can only give as much as we are, therefore we must become. I'm not saying this is who I was before, but just because this fits in a frame, let's say this is who I was before.
Mhm.
The military has expanded me as a human. I can connect. I am around guys and girls who have the craziest stories, the craziest backgrounds. So if you don't think I'll be able to draw from that to
Mhm.
build an amazing character with depth, you're crazy. I mean, that is acting. That is owning the art of what it truly means to be an actor.
Yeah.
And I'm so old school with that. I still love building a character that has layers, and not it's not just memorizing a script and then going and doing it and collecting a check and going home and taking it for granted. It's a beautiful art. And yeah, undoubtedly, I'm confident that my time in the military will be transformative to my ability to be the artist that I know I'm capable of in regards to TV and film.
Yeah. And so your contract, how long is it with the Army that you've committed to for now?
Yeah, originally 4 years, 27 weeks,
Okay.
and signed that February 11th, 2025. So we're still looking at about 3.5 years left. But I'm telling you, there's some opportunities that have already been presented to me that I I will probably do another interview with you in the near future and disclose more. But there's some huge, Allie, I'm telling you, like things I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in a season where like I want to do the thing and then tell you that I did the thing,
Yeah.
opposed to tell you beforehand.
Sure.
Just yeah. And but I'm telling you that there are some life changing opportunities that have been presented to me that are going to push me in ways that I never dreamed of. And it's truly transformative work that I'm doing right now. I'm proud to be to be serving the country and doing it at a high level professionally. But I'd be lying if I didn't say personally, I'm getting so much from this. I am learning and growing. I'm multiplying those talents. All glory be to God for keeping me healthy, keeping me, on the straight and narrow, and allowing me to be a sponge and a student right now. And I think that's pretty cool. I turned 34 in October, so a couple months
Happy
ago.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I talk to my mom and dad a lot, and I tell them, because I'll call them and tell them, "Hey, this just happened today. Like, I can't believe this." And I always say I think it's so cool at 34 to not only still be this excited about life, but to genuinely be learning new things
Mm,
about a skill, but also about myself. Like I'm learning so much right now. It's the most I've learned in a long time, and I wake up every day grateful, and ready to go. It doesn't
yeah.
mean I'm always wired and just like let's go life. Like no, I'm human. Like I sometimes I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm beat up. But as a whole, I just feel um like I'm in a great season of growth right now. And again, on the other side of my military career, whenever that may be, I am so confident that the work that I have done during that military career will undoubtedly carry over and make me that much better of a leader, that much better of an actor, a friend, a son. Um, uh, any title you give me, I'll be that much better at holding it.
Amazing. Last question. I always ask this question to fellow believers. When you hear the name Jesus, what comes to mind?
Oh my goodness. Um, I'll give you the first thing that popped in my head, because if I think about it, I could give you 100 other things,
Mm,
and have a case for those 100 things. But the first thing that came to mind, and I think it's just because of the headspace that we were in and the way the conversation was going, but that anything is possible. And if I may add to that, it's don't be afraid of the suffering and the sacrificing in order to achieve those impossible things. And I
mhm.
think, when I look at his life, what he went through, all the haters he had, all the suffering and sacrificing that he went through, he was able to do that because he was very clear on his purpose and his mission. And
Yeah.
that gave him the strength. It
Yeah.
was bigger than him. And he understood that. And I think sometimes we get in our own way, in our own heads, and we can, even if just for a moment, play the victim or say, "Why me? Poor, pitiful me." And I think we have to, or I choose to view Jesus as the ultimate example of execution when it comes to having a purpose and waking up every day to fulfill that. An impossible something to achieve, but by putting one foot in front of the other, getting there. So yeah, to wrap it up, truly anything is possible, and understand that a little bit of sacrificing and suffering um, are not only a part of it, but dare I say, are the beautiful parts of it.
2 Bible verses came to mind when you said those 2 things. Is it Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who
Who
strengthens
strengthens
me,"
me? Yep, yep.
and another one by Jesus, like, "In the world you will have challenges, but take heart. I have overcome I have overcome the world," or something like that.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, spot on, spot on.
yeah.
Yeah, and I truly believe that, and I truly hold on to that, and that does uh, get me through, and that does recenter me and reground me when I need that, um, and it's just so beautiful that we do have uh, that source of strength, that source of guidance, because life is a long journey, there's so many different roads you can take, and you're always like, "Is this the right one? Is this the right one?" but having that guiding light and knowing that we have the strength to get through anything because he did is awesome. It's awesome.
It is. It is. So, Hunter, thank you so much for your time and for your service to the country.
Well, Allie, you are just a class act, and I love catching up with you. It's been too long since the last one, and I have some huge things. I'm telling you, I have some huge things that are in the works right now. So this won't be the last time that I have to hop on an episode. I'm stoked. It's your last double digit episode, which is
Yeah,
so cool. 99. That's
exactly.
awesome. The end of the double digit era. So
Yeah,
congrats to you on that. And
thanks.
yeah, you're just like I said, you're such a class act and so professional. And I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate the stories that you are pulling out of people. And I think it's important. I think the work that you're doing is so important and honorable and respectable. So yeah, kudos to you as well. And yeah, we'll do another one of these soon, and I'll bring some more things that I have up my sleeve.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Hunter. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.